Hello, everyone. This is Tyler Ross. I am the host of the Grind and the Good Times podcast. And with me is, I've had some 6 great guests so far. This is a new podcast, but uh, the Navy SEAL thing has got my heart the most. I'm not going to lie, but this is Jared Hudson. I've kind of done a little rundown, and I've got a lot of questions that I forgot to ask. So I'll try to remember them as I'm talking, but I do get scatterbrained. But he's a former Navy SEAL. Served as an operator with Naval Special Warfare, the CEO of Covenant Rescue Group, formed with your wife, CEO of the Shooting Institute, former deputy, or you still are a deputy?
I still am
a deputy with Blount County Sheriff's Department in Alabama.
SWAT deputy with Blount County Sheriff's Office, child exploitation investigator, trash man, whatever they want me to do.
He's got a list, and I kind of dumbed it down mainly for my sake, but I know right now you're a current candidate in the Alabama race for U.S. Senator, which I've never been in politics until right now. I mean, I vote, but as far as clicking and listening and I don't know, something about you, it may have been the Navy SEAL part, like I said, that grabbed me, but you are a proud husband to Lauren and a proud dad to 3 beautiful little girls. And I only remember one of them's name because it's the same as my daughter. So I won't try to start naming them and hurt their feelings. But most importantly, you are a child of God and a firm believer, and that's why I had this tonight. I can't gift you. I know a couple years ago you was on the Sean Ryan show. This was before all of your political stuff. Yeah. And he was able to gift you, I think, some gummy bears and maybe some other things. Yeah. I was gonna buy some gummy bears from him. Yeah. Sold out, which I did buy some in the winter.
Normally always sold out.
I got 2 bags in the winter. I said I just paid $40 for some gummy bears. And everybody's like, those ain't gummy bears.
Yeah, that's right.
I said they're gummy bears, but they're Sean Ryan's gummy bears. They're legal in all 50 states. He makes it clear. But is there anything major that I'm missing? I think I hit the high notes, but.
No, man, that's it. I mean, I would just say the most important thing about me, everything you say, this everywhere. You've heard me talk at least 2 or 3 times now. We talked for a little bit out there. I'm a Christian. Now, I always have to qualify what that means because a lot of people say they're a Christian, especially now being in politics.
Absolutely.
Or running for a political office in Alabama. Everybody says they're a Christian. I'm a born-again believer in the person of Jesus Christ. He is Lord and Savior. I believe what John chapter 1 says to be the absolute truth. In the first 5 verses, in the beginning was the Word was God, the Word was with God. All was made through Him and by Him, and without Him anything that was made wasn't made. He was the light and life of men, and the light shone in the darkness, and the darkness could not overcome it. Those first 5 verses explain who Jesus was. He is God incarnate. Right? And you talk about the Sean Ryan show. I think I kept saying He's God reincarnate. No, He's not reincarnate. He is God incarnate. Verse 14, the flesh dwelt among us. And I believe that Jesus is God. I believe that He died, rose again on the 3rd day for my sins and yours, and whoever's listening.
Yeah.
And it's through Him we're set free. So I always like to cover that. And that's the most important thing about me, because if I go out here and get shot on a warrant tomorrow, everything else is done. Father, husband, Navy SEAL, business owner, Senate candidate, whatever it is, right? Law enforcement officer, all of that's done. But who I am in the person of Jesus Christ is
that's
what
right. That's what matters.
Yeah.
That's what matters. And that's I was looking back, and your dad's a preacher, pastor in Blount County. My dad's a pastor. I think he's still in the Blount County Association. But I was like, man, we really do got a lot in common. Yeah. I didn't think I was going to get my dad away from me tonight, because how preachers are. Preachers and politicians, are there really any difference when they start talking? So
preachers are just talkers, like politicians are talkers.
They both could. I think they could talk their way out of about anything, but that's what you're supposed to be good at, so it's okay. And me and you both went to the same fire school, different years, but I was like, man, we've got more in common than I thought. I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. Didn't make.
When'd you go to Fort Payne Fire College?
I went in 2011.
Okay, yeah.
So you were 5 years before me.
It was 2004. No, I went 2004.
He's old.
yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you. I do believe. Yeah.
You're 40.
40.
I'm 30. I'll be 35 next month. So.
Hey man, to be 35 again, right?
Really? I mean, 35. My back's killing me all day.
Dude, I'm telling you, man.
I wanted to start out with like I said, flattery is probably the best way to, show that you like somebody. And I'm not trying to just straight up copy another show, but I don't want to do a full background of who you was as a kid because I think we probably had, similar childhoods, very good ones in a Christian home, and a lot of joys about that. I mean, the people that I grew up with, man, a lot of people I went to church with at other churches were here tonight. My pastor was here tonight too. That my dad's not my pastor right now. It's too far to drive to his church.
That's the way it is. That's the way it is for me,
right.
man. Yeah.
So, but I do want to talk first. I think my first question is going to be probably about Navy SEALs and what led you from leaving. I don't know the difference in the gap from your fire service to if it was I think I'm just going to leave the fire department, go straight into SEAL team or buds or what. But if you want to talk about
that's pretty much what it was. So when I graduated high school in 2004, I went to fire college, pretty much almost immediately, right? So I went to fire college, and it was during that time in fire college that I did at the time they had a paramedic. They don't have this anymore. They had paramedic, they had basic EMT, paramedic intermediate, and then you had the regular paramedic, right? And they changed that somewhere during that time where it's just paramedic, right? You do EMT.
Yeah, advanced thing, anything.
Yeah, and so, but I made it through the paramedic intermediate class, and I didn't even do national registry for it. That's how quickly I went to the SEAL teams. But went to fire college. That was 3 months long. Was that fire college roughly 3 months?
Yeah, I think so.
About 3 months. So did fire college and
10 weeks for just the fire school. So if you did any of the advanced, for me it was 10 weeks of just fire.
Yeah, we did firefighter 1 and 2, and then basic EMT was part of it.
Yeah, so it was definitely 3 months.
Yeah. So we had basic, and I did it right here in Fort Payne, right? Yep. So Fort Payne, Alabama, Fort Payne Fire College, and then we did. I went to Cabo Valley Fire District is where I was working at. That's where they sent me through. I was working there, and while I was working there, I went on a mission trip with a church. Church I went to, Gardendale First Baptist. We went over to Namibia, Africa, maybe. Namibia, I think, is what it was.
Okay.
We went to Namibia, and I'm trying to think where it was. Angola. Yeah, Namibia. So we went to Namibia, and long story short, when we did that, the Lord just kind of, I don't know what the word would be, but he spoke to me in that process, and I knew I needed to do something different. And I came back and wound up going to the SEAL teams.
Did buds, I know, was a challenge because it's supposed to be. And I've heard a lot of people, I think I heard you, it wasn't maybe as bad as you thought. Maybe was that maybe you saying that one time, but it was obviously it's meant to challenge your mental capacity as well as physical. So
yeah, I would say for buds it was probably worse than anything I would have expected, but the things that were hard were not the things that I thought would be hard weren't as bad as I thought they would be, and then other things that I didn't think would be that hard wound up being harder than expected. Yeah.
What do you think maybe the quick transfer from being out of rookie school helped your physical side of that? I felt like mine was rough. My 10 weeks was just Which Paulson was he was an old school instructor for us, and he was like, I'll tell you this, we ran a mile and a half. That was our get our time for a mile and a half, and it was 5. The elementary school was right behind the fire school. He's like, run up there to the stop sign and back like 4 times. Well, I was in pretty good shape. I was 20 years old. Another one of my classmates just got out of the Navy. He wasn't a SEAL, but he was still in good shape. And both of us was just whooped on lap 2.
Oh yeah.
And we're like, something ain't right, And like we got the bigger guys, they're up there just dying. And I'm like, something. So finally he gets it figured out and is like, we've been running y'all a little bit too much. So we was in better shape than we probably should have been. But he finally, you can bring it on over here.
Man, no. Just straight.
I mean,
thank you, my man. Thank you, brother.
So that's our waiter for the day.
Got that good coffee right there.
Hey, coffee pot right there makes it as
Hey,
hot
man,
as I've ever
whoever
tried.
made this coffee did a good job, man. That hits just right.
Don't do that. He's back there in the crowd. Don't do that. He's our one golden ticket member tonight.
Like they're happy, man. That is some good coffee, man. Dadgum,
It's just
man.
Folgers.
I mean, I like Folgers coffee, but I mean, it's like, hey, there's a right amount of spoons. 8 scoops.
8 scoops.
8 scoops. My
Okay.
man.
Well, all right. Somebody told him that. He didn't figure
right.
that out. on his
He didn't
own.
figure that out on his
Yeah,
own.
I've known him all of his life. He's not that guy. But I was like,
so Fire College for me wasn't like what you're talking about. Like it wasn't. We got in good shape, but I don't know if that's what. Yeah, I was in decent shape from that, and but I kept running and swimming. I would say the being in shape part for Buds wasn't the hard part of it.
so you was already swimming.
I mean, I was swimming, but I learned how to swim the way that you're supposed to swim when I was there.
Well,
I could not swim.
That's like I can get out here and swim in a pool, and I'm like, I'll start thinking about it. There's no way I'm swimming right. No, this has got to be. This is way wrong. But I'm staying afloat. I'm not drowning. So, but yeah, the underwater. I don't know all the terms, but like when you, I guess, tied up and you've got.
Yeah, you do.
That's what scared me the most. And I was like, I don't know. And then, do you know John B. Allen, Mr. B. Allen? He's been on Sean's show a few times. He does a bunch of ghost hunting and stuff, ghost stories.
Oh,
now.
yeah. I know who you're talking about. I don't know him personally, but I know who you're talking about.
I got in touch with him on Instagram. I worked for Alabama Power. I mean, I had a great job making a lot of money, but I was working a lot, and it just kept on coming back, seal. So I reached out to this guy, and he reached back, and I was like, oh, my goodness. And he's like, I'll tell you this, with a family, it's going to suck. Because you're going to go over there and you're going to be by yourself until you go through Hell Week. If you make it through Hell Week, then your wife can move out there. Yeah. But I mean, you got to get through Hell Week,
It was hard for guys who had families going through training. I did see that. I don't know what, because I didn't have a wife or kids at the time.
How old was you?
I was 19.
19?
I was 18 when I went in the Navy, 19 when I went through Buds, and or I guess I was 18 into 19 when I went through Buds. But all that being said, I can't imagine doing it with a family. That would be
and I did have Everly. She was a baby. So
that would have been substantially harder.
And I was like, I would look at her, and then I was like, I mean, I don't even know if I could my score on the ASVAB. I never took it. So I'm like, probably now, I've been out of school so long, if I take the ASVAB, they'll think I'm a target. They'll be like, all right, that's our target for today. Everybody shoot at that guy because that's right. How dumb he is, But so anyways, I stayed with Alabama Power for a little bit, and then I decided to do my own thing, and here we are. This is not what my own thing is. I've got a small business, but hopefully this can turn into something here. But I know I listened to you, and you talked about your first kill. Was your first kill a guy on the motorcycle?
He was, yeah. He was on a motorcycle.
And your longest kill was on a motorcycle.
We shot a lot of guys off motorcycles.
So I was listening to that, and I was like, that he said his longest and his first were on motorcycles, which I know that's mainly their main transportation over there. But
no, we killed a lot of guys on motorcycles. I mean, that was not uncommon for us on, especially those Afghanistan deployments, right? Because those guys, that's how they would traverse the
was Afghanistan where you was mainly?
That was where the vast majority of my combat, Afghanistan, because it was, it was the Wild West. It was awesome.
I bet. And that was another thing. Like, I just, like everybody that thinks about becoming a SEAL, and I say everybody because I've listened to a lot of SEALs talk, it's like we want to kill somebody. You want to be a SEAL. Why, if I wanted to just join the military, I'd be a cook, But,
yeah, that's right.
Right, but I'm going to join the Navy SEAL so I can go shoot somebody or whatever. But
no, there's definitely that, and it's we had a guy that made it through training and everything, and he became a SEAL, and for whatever reason, when we were in the kill house, when he decided to turn his trident in, he said, "Hey, I know I'm a team guy. I appreciate y'all, but I don't want to kill people." and he turned his trident in and left, and we respected him, you know.
Well, a
because it's
man
like,
that can do that in front of his brothers.
I'm glad you figured that out now before we got overseas, and you got to shoot this guy who's about to shoot me.
Exactly. You know? Gosh, that would have been terrible to find out
That's
you can't
right.
kill nobody
That's
when somebody's pointing one at you. But yeah,
But most team guys, I mean, that's what you join up for. You join up to go to combat, to fight the enemies of this nation. It's not a political thing. You care less about parties at the time. Most
Absolutely.
team guys are Republicans. They are conservative, you know, in nature, but
they claim to be apolitical. Is that right?
they claim to be apolitical, but they're all, you know, super conservative guys for the most part. Not, you know, you'd have some every now and again, but that are left wing and they get beat up and made fun of.
Absolutely.
But
send them in the door first.
that's right. There you go. But no, but as a SEAL, you know, and in the SEAL teams, you don't care about the political political climate. It's not something that you're looking at or thinking about. You're just there to go overseas, defend your country. It's not a political agenda. You're a patriotic warfighter who's going over to defend your country and die for your brother if you have to.
Absolutely.
But making sure that you're killing enemies so they don't kill your brothers. I mean, that's what it's about.
And being a sniper, you definitely had to. You was in a position where your brothers are out there, and they may not see what's just over the horizon, or you know, over.
When even snipers for us, we had a lot of recce teams and stuff, so we would even go in as part of the clearance and clear, you know, climb buildings, clear rooftops. You call it body work if you're just climbing up the side of buildings.
You was on SEAL Team 3, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
That was the same, and I know you got in. Obviously, you're younger, but that was the same team that Chris Kyle was on, and Jocko was the.
Yep, Jocko. So when I checked into SEAL Team 3, Chris was there. It was at the. I'm trying to think. It was at the tail end of that Iraq deployment.
So he was still on the team.
They were, yeah. So I checked in with them at the tail end of that Iraq deployment, and you know, didn't do much, didn't do anything. I'm a new guy checking in. I wound up moving some weapons out of Iraq back to the States, you know, bringing all our weapons back. So I wound up having to deal with that, and then went over to Germany for about a month and a half as guys transitioned.
Well, did you have a lot of interaction with Chris? I did, yeah. Studied Chris since, you know, Eddie Ray.
So I met him when we checked into Team 3. Then everybody on that deployment went on leave because they'd been on a full Iraq deployment at that point in time. And I wound up getting to know Chris better after he left SEAL Team 3 and was he was like the chief, or he was the I don't know if he's the chief or the LPO of LRT, our Long Range Target Interdiction course on the West Coast. And he ran that, and that's where I got to know him.
Be a good one to learn from. It sounds
pretty
like.
well, yeah. You got to know him a little bit better there. And he was, he always set up, you know, pretty good sniper courses for us to shoot on, and we got to work with him a good bit as a cadre member. He was a cadre member for the SEAL teams, helping us with, again, that long range target interdiction after we'd already gone through sniper school.
Well, Jocko, you know, is what people, when you see Navy SEALs, that's what they think. All Navy SEALs look like Jocko.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, super
but there's
motivated.
A lot, like, I mean, you're not much bigger than me, and I'm not a real big guy. And most SEALs that
man, look at that right there.
I mean,
come on, my man.
Look, they're a lot bigger than 38s. See, anyway, let me put these 38s away. I mean, but I'm you know, he's not Jocko. You're not Jocko. I'm sorry.
No. That's fair. That's fair. Jocko's I mean, he's just 230-pound dude. He's a big dude.
Solid. Looks solid. I mean, I've never felt
dude,
him, but
most of your team guys are just, you know, for me when I was in the teams, like right now I'm 6 foot 210 roughly, you know, and probably about 12% body fat or so. You know, that's about what I sit at. When I was in the teams, I was 6 foot 195 to 200 and about 5% body fat. So that would be the majority of your team guys are somewhere in that range, you know.
Well, your first kill was a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Moving target, I imagine. You shot him through the gas tank? Is that right? Same kill?
Yeah, so you talking about the first one?
Yeah,
so the first one, we were set up on a town, or set up doing an overwatch on a town. We're doing a clearance, and I can't remember what the clearance was for. I think it was looking for weapons and IED material stuff. Sometimes we would do key looter engagements, which wasn't that wasn't a normal mission for us, but I don't think this was a KLE. I think they were searching in the town for stuff. So we set up at night in the dark, and we start the clearance in the dark, and a lot of times the sun would come up before we would finish the clearance, which is fine. We'd push out the sniper hides, and one of our goals was, hey, make sure nobody enters the town. So this guy comes riding in, and I wound up firing a shot out in his direction. And normally, if they don't have no nefarious intent, they'll just turn around and go back the other way. And he
continued.
Man, he hammered down. And when he did, and that was about 1,200 meters when I shot out. Kind of toward him. You just shoot around out over their heads.
See that
snap. Yeah, over their heads, so it snaps, and they turn around and go back the other way. He comes rolling in hard, and I can see he's got which at 1,200 meters, I even was looking. I could see what I thought was weapons. It looked like he had a weapon strapped, which is why I shot at him. Because warning shots is not something that you you don't normally. We're not,
especially when you're hiding.
Yeah. So, but it looked like he had some weapons. Didn't know for sure. It was like, hey, we'll send it and see what he does. And he hammered down and started coming in town. And as he got closer, I could see, holy crap, this guy's he's got his AK strapped. I could see his saddlebags with some wire things hanging out, which wound up being mortar fuses for the IEDs he was tapping into. And he had his little Rhodesian on under his man dress, right? And I could see it every now and again as he's moving because the wind was blowing that away. You could see his AK and his Rhodesian. And so when he did that, I'm sitting there trying to get a good laze on him, and I find a spot where he turns, where this bike was going to turn in the middle of or in the middle of this wash where the road goes down into this wash and it turns. And I was like, I'm going to hit him where he turns right there. So I lazed that spot. It was 620 yards or something like that, or 660 yards. I can't remember. But it's right at 600 meters, right? So, and I lazed the spot. And as soon as he hit it and turned, he slowed down enough and turned. And he's just kind of probably 5 miles an hour as he kind of hits the brakes hard and goes on that turn. And I smoke him through where he's sitting right here as he's moving away. Like this would have been what I saw. I shoot through the gas tank of the bike and hit the gas tank of the bike as it's moving. I was actually shooting with my crosshairs on him center. It would have been, center mass. Would have went through his shoulder and his chest. But I wound up hitting the gas tank of the bike as he turned that corner. So that means my distance to target. So when you're long range shooting, range fidelity is important, right? So you've got to make sure. So he could have been, a little bit closer or further away, and that's going to dictate where a lot of times your round hits. So it hits the gas tank of the bike. It goes through. It didn't hit his leg on the other side, but I saw the dust kick up on the other side. His bike got bum, and he's running a little bit more.
Out of gas.
Well, it ran a little bit more. It sputtered, and it fell over, and he's trying to get it up. And I racked my bolt again, and I shot as he was bending down to pick up his bike, and there was this big wall of this grape thing behind him. This is the most detail I've told about this story.
Yeah, I didn't get all this.
I shot at him, and it hit that when he ducked down to get his bike as I shot, because, again, he's about 600 yards or 600 meters, so a little bit further than 600 yards. He ducked, and it went over his head, and that thing hit, and it fragged off into his face, and I saw him do this, and he gets his AK out, and I could see his face is all messed up where it hit that wall, and he kind of slides into this thing, like the side of this grape, it's like vineyards, it's like these grape drying buildings, and they would be run down and busted over there. Like it was just an old grape, it wasn't being used, but he slides in this little wash or this little spot beside it, and I could see him scooting up in it as I rack my bolt, and I'm trying to track with him. His bike is laying out there. I can see all the mortar fuses and all that stuff across the ground, all the explosives or the stuff to cap into the explosives, the HME. And so as he slides up in there, all I can see now is the bottom part of his stomach. And I can see his AK right there on the side. And so I racked my bolt again, and I dumped around and to the one spot I could see, which was right here in his stomach. And so I shoot him high in the gut or high in the stomach at that distance. And you could, after about 5, maybe 10 minutes, like you could smell him like a deer, like a gut shot deer. Like you could smell his guts. And he was over there, he was kicking his legs and moving around. And so we broke down that hide site, and I went over to him, and we cleared up on him, and we wound up making sure that he was dead. We made sure he didn't have an S vest on, which they blow themselves up because he was wearing a vest, but it was just a Rhodesian with his AK mags, some of the mortar fuses on his body. some of the mortar fuses in his bike, and he didn't have any HME in the bike, which is the homemade explosives that they use. So a lot of times they'll run that separately. Somebody will carry the HME, and somebody will carry the fuses and the things to cap in. And he had the fuses, and sure enough, there was HME already in this village that our guys was clearing through that they found. So our thought was, as they were linking up to go place IEDs to kill American forces or kill partner forces, wherever in that region of Afghanistan, that they would go and set them up. But he was going in to finalize their process of making those. That was the first guy I killed. That's the most in-depth I've ever told that story. But, yeah, I actually warning shot, missed him when he ducked down to pick up his bike, or shot the bike, missed him when he ducked down to pick up the bike, and then shot him through the guts. Yeah.
Did
that 300 Win Mag really takes the starch
was
out
that
of
your
people.
preferred?
Yeah,
rifle?
that's what I ran that 300 Win, that Mark 13 300 Win Mag. It's great, man. It's phenomenal.
That's what I mean. When I studied Chris, I think that 300 was his preferred weapon of choice too. And I got 308s, but I don't have. I shoot deer. And they do
shoot
good.
Deer with my 300 Win Mag.
Well, I haven't made it. I haven't made it up there yet. I told him, I said, I really want a 300 Win Mag, but then I said, I want a 338, I think. And
I like a 338 too. 338's a great round.
Well,
brother.
They said, what are you going to do with a 338? I said, well, nobody in Aironi has a 338.
Hey,
and I said, plus, my brother, he's in here tonight, so I can talk about him. I said, but I could go ahead. I think if I shoot it enough through the woods back here, I can make it carve a trail.
That's right, yeah.
And just knock on his door with it every now and then.
If you run into that guy right there, I don't know if they can all see that, but if you run into that guy right there, you shoot him with a 300.
This guy also.
Yeah. This guy on the If you run into that and he's a mean one, not American patriot like you got there,
Well, I'll tell you this real quick. I don't believe in Bigfoot, but I like the
stories.
I like the stories. I like the look, and I went through is it Blue? What's over in Georgia? Just over the line here. Anyways, they said something about they've had a lot of sightings seen of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And I passed the museum Friday, and I told my daughter, and she's like, Dad, we got to go there. And I'm like, okay, we might go there one day. I don't know. But anyways, sorry, that Bigfoot got us sidetracked. But I know I don't want to just sit here and talk about your kills, but I do want to talk about your I think it was 2,345 yards was your.
That was the furthest. 2,345 yards was the furthest.
So, was that the same deployment as the first kill that you made your longest kill?
Oh yeah, same deployment. It was
it
was in Afghanistan.
Okay, well, I think I remember just in the story I heard on the show, you might have missed because he was on a motorcycle too.
Yeah, I was driving away. I missed him. Still, was a 5-round box mag, and that rifle I was shooting is a McMillan TAC 50, a 50 caliber bolt action rifle. There's a 5-round box mag in that on that built into that gun. So I just top load, those 5 rounds, or actually I think it was a 4-round box mag, and I just put one in the chamber. So those are your 5 rounds. And so I went over there. Kel started shooting at him with a 300 Win Mag as they're driving away, and he shot at him to about 1,700 yards and just kept missing him. I mean, he'd miss him in front, and then he'd cut his lead, and he'd miss him a little bit behind, but he shot at him from about 1,000 to 1,700 and didn't get a hit. And I told him, I said, hey, you start shooting at because 2 guys on a bike with AKs, and I think one of them had a PK. I think the guy on the back had a PKM, and the other guy had an AK strapped. They'd come out of the town. There was a little gunfight in the town, or at one of the northern hide sites. I can't remember which end it was. I think it was in the town. It wasn't at the northern hide site. But either way, they'd been kicked out. They kind of run out of the town after getting in a gunfight with guys, and that's
what year are we right now? Probably like 11.
No. 2010. 2010. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, long story short, they kick out, and then I start shooting at him at 1,700 yards, and so Greg was there with us, and he had those Vector, the big freaking laser rangefinder, and he kept hitting the distance, and he was like, giving me, rough distances, 1850, 1975 as they're going, And so I had my when he had it set, I had my 1,700-yard dope set, and then I was just holding over in my scope as I'm tracking them as they're driving away, and they're kind of going out like that. And I'd fire it over, and then I'd fire it in front, or I'd maybe fire it too far right. And so I fired 4 shots, and then on the 5th one, they hit a turn. That guy with a PKM, he jumped off the back, and he hit this little wash and screwed up the mountain. This guy slow turns, and he was rolling now almost perfectly parallel to me, doing probably 3 miles an hour, maybe 5. I mean, he wasn't going fast. It was fast enough to track. And Greg said, he said 23:45, Hud, send it. That's all he said, because it was he was about to go around this turn, and he was going to be, he was going to be gone. And so as he's doing that, I cranked my dope up. I just cranked it all the way, maxed it out. My max dope card for this density altitude that we're at, or whatever, that I could actually dial into the turret, was like 2,200. And I don't even remember what the mills, what it said on my card, but I held the 3rd mil dot, I think, down, and held over on him and sent it. And I watched. I could see the trace.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, I could see the trace. I watched that bullet go through the sky, and I thought I went over the bike because the way the guy was rolling, it looked like you could see the little bit of a hill behind him. It looked like it went over the bike, and then he kind of just fell down and disappeared. And I thought I'd missed him because I saw the bullet explode, a Rothfuss round explode on the ground on the other side. I figured it would explode on his bike. I knew it would go through him because we'd shot people with Rothfuss rounds before. But I thought it would explode on his bike, and it looked like it definitely didn't go it didn't look like it went through his body up here. Well, what we found out, later on, when the team cleared over to him and wound up getting all his stuff or whatever, and then him calling in, he was calling for a doctor and a mechanic because his bike wouldn't start. He was laid down in the ditch. You could barely see his stuff, but you know how when the mirage gets bad, it was hard to see. I mean, we're talking, 1.25 miles away, so it was hard to see. Yeah, we couldn't really see him that well. And all that being said, it went through his legs, and it went through the gas tank. So his legs and the gas tank would be right there,
here.
the back of the gas tank, which caused a lot of the fuel to leak out, and then it blew up on the other side. And they thought we were shooting mortars at them. They thought they were getting mortar shot at them because those Rothfuss rounds were popping and exploding a little bit.
That's why he's trying to get after or run up.
So, that was
run
it.
Up the hill.
That's right. So that was it, and they cleared over to him and got his stuff and another weapons, planting IEDs, set up to fight American forces and that little.
That's the dirtiest way.
Yep.
That and suicide vest, I think. Well, as far as a Navy SEAL, I haven't done my research on this, and that's my fault. But is that not a top 5 kill shot for y'all? Longest?
No. I mean, I think it was the longest of that deployment for about 3 months, and then somebody broke it. I think there's a guy. He's from Huntsville, Alabama. I want to say he shot somebody like 2,600 yards that deployment.
Okay, and he's a SEAL.
He's a SEAL. Yeah, he's still a SEAL, so I won't use his name.
All right, well, that's understandable. Well, that's I don't what Chris's was like 2,100 meters, I think.
I don't know, probably.
According to the movie, I know the movie adds a little.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's 2,100 meters, that'd be like 2,350 yards or so. Yeah.
Oh, y'all are real close.
Yeah, pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well,
most of your Iraq shots were close. They weren't.
Afghanistan had the long range.
Afghanistan was a lot of long range shooting, a lot of long range target interdiction. Iraq was more
in the streets,
close range in the streets. Fast movers, having to shoot on holdovers.
I wanted to be a sniper as a kid when I started deer hunting. I didn't really know if I ever joined the SEALs. I didn't know where I was gonna put myself.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I of course wanted to be a sniper because I thought those was the coolest.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know if I can hit that coyote running 30 miles an hour, so I don't know if I can hit a man. So
even your snipers can't do that all the time. I mean, I miss my fair share.
Well, I
of
mean,
yokes.
I like to watch a lot of hunting videos and this and that, and they'd be out there just an animal full speeding it, and they're just rolling it up, and I'm like, I mean, I don't know if I can. I'll be over there just shooting dirt 30 yards behind it. I feel like I'd be that far behind, but I don't want to say too much more on SEALs, but I think I talked with your dad when I met all y'all at the last event, and I think you told me you were entered into the program from Seaman to Admiral. Is that Is that
No,
right?
no,
Was
no,
that not
no.
you?
No, so now you could. There was I'm trying to remember what the program was called, because when I started going through my process out with some of the medical stuff and everything, there was an option for me to go to OCS, because I'd finished my degree with
Okay.
tuition assistance, because
Right.
I had some education from doing the paramedic school side, and I took a few business classes when I was at the fire station, because Cabo Valley Fire District would pay for some of our school. And so I did do a few classes while I was there and doing that. But all of that being said,
That
I
may have
finished
been
it
what
with
it was.
tuition assistance. So it's probably the option. I could have gone the OCS route and gone enlisted to officer.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm glad you cleared that up for me.
Yeah, that
'cause
was
I
an
didn't-
option that I was looking at, but
And you decided before you knew you had diabetes.
Yep.
You'd already decided you were going to get out.
Yeah, I was going to get out and go to the reserve, so I'd already signed in with the reserve team, which was a West Coast reserve team still, even though I was coming back to Alabama. But in the process of going through the medical out or whatever, they found out that I had type 1 diabetes. Green team is what everybody calls, green team is the selection process for development group, or SEAL Team 6, as a lot of people refer to it. And so there's a screening process to getting green team, right, for SEALs to do it. So you do like a run, a swim.
You were going to get to go.
Yeah, so
have
I'd
that
done
opportunity.
I'd done that, and so it's not, not all of green team. That's still the selection process, but then there's even that small selection. They take you in, they talk you through a psychological evaluation. And my chief of my last platoon, he was at development group for a while, and he said, "Hey, if you're going to get out, you need to get out. If you're going to stay in, you're going to take a green team slot." And I said, "Hey, I'm going to get out and go reserves and go back home. And then if I activate again, I'm going to come back and go to green team." And it was in that process of going to the reserves they
Did
found.
it kind of knock the wind out of you a little bit?
It did, because that wasn't, planned for us. And when I found out I have type 1 diabetes, that and it linked to the anthrax vaccine, and that was a whole process.
Yeah.
The reason the Navy didn't want to give me a med retirement at the time is because what they used against me is I had screened positive for development group. And they said, "Look at what this guy can still
perform.
do all this, but you can't be a SOCOM or JSOC operator, be insulin dependent." So what they did, they wound up adding in all my, I broke my back in the teams, broke my neck once, had TBIs and all that. So they added all of those things up. And these are common injuries for SEALs, And I wound up, the Lord took care of us, with everything that we went through with the VA process and all that, and, got out and became a law enforcement officer.
And my wife's from Blount County, so we appreciate you
keeping
those streets down there. So
hey, man,
her
Mark,
family still lives down
Mark
there.
Mark Moon's the sheriff down there. He does a great job, man.
My wife's cousin is in the Air Force, and he worked for Blount County just for a minute before he got it, everything complete. And he's out of Birmingham.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be here tonight, but some things came up, and hope I don't know if they're just doing some training or whatnot, but I think he was going to bring some cool guys with him from work, and I was like, well, this will be cool. We'll have all these military guys here, but I appreciate them protecting us and training and doing what they got to do to keep us safe, close to home. But his name was Jasper, or is Jasper. He's young. I don't know if you would know him or not, but he went to Appalachian. That's where my wife went. And my dad, we met down there at a church. My dad pastored that, but I'll move on. I know everybody would rather hear Navy SEAL stories, but the Covenant Rescue Group, it's huge. I think still growing.
Oh yeah, we're growing, doing great. Yeah,
and honestly, I don't want to vote for you because you might get it, and then you won't be as involved in Covenant Rescue Group, because but I know I say that jokingly. I'm voting for you 100%.
I appreciate it.
But I love what the efforts y'all do, and I know you've got a team that's going to handle everything, just like you're not there.
We got a great team that runs the organization, and they make it extremely easy for me as the founder and now the CEO. of the organization to be able to go out and tell people what we do and know that these folks are doing are actually doing it. You know, you don't have that all the time with some nonprofits. You know, you have the CEO saying one thing and you don't really know what's going on. Like, we've got a great team of folks.
You know exactly. I mean,
that's right.
You've been, I'm sure, hands-on with as much of it as you could be on.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, especially with your training to make sure your guys stay safe, too.
And it's always fun snatching a bad guy.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't do that, but I watch Cops. So
yeah, there you go. That's right. That's right. You know? Watch cops get all out of breath.
Right.
And
I mean, they're sweating. I don't know if I'm supposed to be running to run from them or run because I'm a cop. Sometimes we live in DeKalb County. You never know which way we go up here, good or bad.
But no, those guys are doing, and the Lord has blessed us tremendously. He's really growing that organization, and from the position of a U.S. Senator, you can have a lot more impact on human trafficking as a whole.
Well, it is,
which is important.
Obviously, it has been brought to everyone's eyes lately through a lot of things. I don't really want to get into that because I think I liked when we were living in the unknown a little bit more. You know, when we could just watch Fox 6 or your Fox 54 and
not have to worry about kids being.
Yeah, but we asked for this. We asked to know. We want to know who did that or why the world's like this. And then we get it brought to light and we're like, oh my God, everybody is so bad. All of our leaders and this and that. And we'll never know. Here, I said we weren't going to get into this. Anyways, I like the fact that you're a Christian man. You founded this business here. I don't say it's a business. Nonprofit.
Yeah.
And you were saving women and kids. You probably got guys working every day.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now we're running like we had one of our guys out in Lee County, Alabama today.
Do y'all just stay in Alabama, or y'all still go everywhere?
No, we're all over.
Worldwide.
We do worldwide, but primarily national. Mostly U.S. based. We do some overseas stuff, Sub-Saharan Africa, Haiti, some of those places, but Haiti's kind of shut down right now with all that's going on. But we work in some international places, but our primary focus is nationally.
Well, there's plenty going on with just kids coming up, you know, gone. Them and their dogs left locally. I mean, you know, and then they find them. You question everything. Was the dad really there? Was the ex involved?
Well, one of the biggest things, most of it's familiar based. 93% is familiar based. 46% of the time, it's somebody close to a child, coach, teacher, pastor, law enforcement officer, whatever, firefighter. We've seen fire, but
those are a lot of people you don't need to.
That you would think, yeah, because then they're a person of trust, right?
Right.
37% of the time, it is a family member, so mother, father, aunt, uncle. So it's a close blood relative. So 93% of the time a child's exploited, it is familiar based. The other side of it is there's an interview with he was a very, I don't want to say the word prominent, that's not, but he's a well-known pedophile out of, I believe it was Indiana. Y'all can look it up. I forget the guy's name. But he does an interview and he says, hey, it's not, what caused you to look at a child? And the biggest thing that came up for me, he said, was the father a threat? I would look and see if the father was a threat, because if the father was involved and in their life, it wasn't worth the hassle. Right. And so I tell dads all the time, be a threat. It's not a bad thing. Right. Be a threat, and that is the way that we stop human trafficking and child exploitation, is make sure that as dads, we're involved in our kids' lives, and we're a threat to anybody who would try to take them or take their innocence.
Well, I mean, I live in a small community. I'm gonna guess that this is your first time in Roney. That's where we're at, outside of Boaz, North Alabama, Northeast.
I've been in Boaz a good bit.
Been in Boaz, but we're just 10 miles from Boaz.
Good. When I was a kid, we always used to come out here to the Boaz outlets.
To the vanity outlets.
Yeah.
This is a big thing back in the 90s for sure. But like the gas station is, I mean, you can see the lights, you know, at night when they're on. But I have an 8-year-old daughter, and I wouldn't tell her to get on the golf cart and drive down there.
No, that's right.
Even if she was 16. Well, because I just don't, I mean.
You don't know, but here's the other thing. You know, you got cell phones. A lot of parents give their kids these cell phones right here. And when you give this to your kid, you know, you won't let them drive down the street. You want to leave them in a park in Birmingham or whatever it is.
That's right.
If you're not going to do that, when you give them a cell phone that with 5G or Wi-Fi or whatever, You give them access to the world and the world access to them. And so it's important to monitor that just as much as you would monitor them hopping on the golf cart and going down to the gas station.
Well, it's yeah, which she's got a little cheap phone. It's not even, I think she can call with Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But my mom, she's passing through, but that's who my daughter talks to the most on there.
Yeah.
And
but you monitor it. That's the biggest thing with parents is you don't just give this. It's a weapon and it's a tool that's used and weaponized by predators, and even AI being weaponized now by predators. Making sure that you monitor.
Well, and kids nowadays, and I don't want to just bash little kids or not little kids, but they grow up in a lot of split homes. They live hard lives. Their moms, dads, work. One of them's working all the time, and one of them's gone all the time usually, and the kids are starving for attention.
Well, we talked about it out there. One of the biggest issues is an affordability issue right now. Parents have to have 2 or 3 incomes to survive nowadays because the cost of housing is through the roof, right? What is it, $350,000 the average price
for an 1,800 square foot house,
3-bedroom, 2-bath house? You got high interest rates. You got inflation that's going through the roof. Groceries, the grocery bill's out of control. Healthcare, excuse me. So when you look at all these things, parents are having to work, which means when they're having to work, somebody else is having to raise the kids, or the kids are being left to their own devices.
Yeah.
And so it's harder to monitor them. That is one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why, I'm running for U.S. Senate, is because when you look at those sort of issues, affordability is impacting families negatively because everything is unaffordable in a way that mama and daddy have to work. We don't have any choice. It's not like we can. If we wanted to homeschool our kids. Now, the Lord blesses me and my wife for my wife to not have to work.
Right.
And I'm able to work full-time to take care of everything that we could. She's a nurse.
Right.
We could have more money if she works.
That's the same way we are. Brandy, she works PRN once every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's just to keep her certification.
Yep.
And but she helps me with the business. I pay her, she does all of our paperwork. But my mom didn't work. She raised me and my brother. And
that's a blessing.
Absolutely.
And it's a blessing that's gone away from a lot of families. It's not just fatherless homes in the inner city or in County Line Road, Alabama, where near where I live, where you have a lot of government subsidies that they lean on to live, right? A lot of disability payments, a lot of SNAP. They're relying on the government to survive. It's not just places like that. It's regular families who might not be relying on any of those things, but mom and daddy have to both work, which means the kids are being raised by somebody else and being targeted by real predators because mom and daddy
that Roblox
can't be in their life. Yeah, Roblox is a whole absolutely.
It's gotten crazy. Like she come home and said something about it, and I don't even know what that is. And then they're like,
"You talking about Sean? He's got a whole podcast
on that."
Yeah, where they talk about the where predators are targeting kids. In Roblox, there's a whole section on it where they're talking about Roblox. Yeah.
Well, I'll find that one.
And we see that quite a bit.
He's got like 450, and I'll scan through and just kind of see which one catches my eye for the day, And I'm like, all right. And then I'll see how far I'm driving. And I'm like, okay, that one's 6 hours. I'm not going to hear all that one.
That's right. That's right.
But he, I'll find that. But I was like, first off, I don't know what Roblox is. And then somebody's like, oh, Roblox they're picking up kids off that now. And I was like, all right,
it's insane.
She mentioned a game the other day, and I was like, no. And it wasn't even Roblox. But I still just, that was my first thought, no. And then, but I've got it to where if she wants to download a game on her phone, it has to come through my phone. And I have to accept it or decline it. And you know what? If it's a certain hour of the day, I ain't going to accept it or decline it. I just let it go because I'm like, you shouldn't be playing a game. You need to be outside in the sunshine.
There you go. There you go.
And she does. She loves being outside, and she likes to hunt with me. She don't like to kill yet.
Yeah.
But I shot a doe this year, and she lost it.
She didn't care for that.
I look up at her, she's squalling, and I said, well, listen. I said, you ain't never got to come back. And she said, I want to come back. I said, well, I'm just letting you know, I'm not going to force you to come out here and watch me, which I want her to kill a turkey. I've got a monster turkey on camera right now. And I'm like, I want you to kill that. I've never killed one this big, but I said, I want you to kill that turkey. And she's like, I think I can do it. So we're gonna
Alright, there you
try,
go. Alright, there you go.
opening youth days, about a month away, and we're gonna try
Go out
that.
there and bust
but
a bird.
We're gonna, yeah. She said, "Can I get it mounted?" I said,
Yeah,
"If you
heck
kill
yeah.
that, we'll do what? We'll go shopping to make sure you get the right mount."
That's right. That's right. Put
But,
that beard in the dirt.
That's right. So we're I'm trying to keep her outdoors and off the phones and off that. And I know it's 2026. It's just the world we live in now.
Yeah, it is.
And but I do like that. Do you have a number of maybe how many women and kids that the Covenant Rescue Group has maybe helped?
Oh, they keep it updated on the website. So right off the top of my head, I want to say definitely as far as individuals arrested, I want to say it's well over 500 the agencies that arrest individuals that we work with. And that's when we're actively with the agency. Now, you have agencies that make a lot of arrests afterward. Of that, you have an average of every guy showing up for a little girl, there's 50 victims that will be in their wake until they're successfully prosecuted. For every guy showing up for a little boy, 150 victims in their wake until they're successfully prosecuted. So if you average 25% of the ones we get are showing up for boys, 75% are showing up for girls. So you get about 75 average.
Death penalty?
I don't think it's going to stop until Jesus comes back. I mean, it's sin. I think this is something that's gone on for a while. We're just more connected now.
More a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, it's more connected now. We're seeing it a little bit more, but it would have happened in communities. So it's like the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. He just had a larger reach, and so he impacted more people than, let's say, somebody from DeKalb County, Alabama, that would be doing
Thank
the
God
same
he
thing.
didn't call me.
Yeah, right. So, and he would use that. He would use the barely legal types and all that to blackmail officials and Hollywood people and all that. And that's what you see him doing.
And that's the big deal with the Epstein thing is nobody really knows who went for vacation and who went to be a sick person.
I think they finally released all 5 million documents. I don't know how much of it's redacted, but it's just
all of it.
Yeah, 90% of it is last I heard.
But well, does the Shooting Institute, is it still?
Yeah, so the Shooting Institute's still blowing and going, and we teach military and law enforcement and civilians. I build some guns out for guys or do suppressors for buddies every now and again. But
is that down in Gardendale? Is that where it's based at?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So, and we're still doing everything that we've always done, but most of our time and effort is with Covenant Rescue Group. That running that nonprofit full time.
Well, I don't like to bring up I don't think this is a bad memory. I know you lost. You ran for sheriff.
Yep.
2022.
Yep.
In Jefferson County.
Democrat
County, and just lost by a fraction.
Yeah, so it's that county is larger than a congressional district. I think I told somebody earlier it was 250,000 votes, and I think it was actually in that election was 200,000 votes, and I lost by 1.5%, or maybe a little bit less than 1.5%. So the incumbent Democrat sheriff had 51% of the vote, and I had 49 or a little over 49% of the vote. So to be able to do that in something larger than a congressional district against an incumbent Democrat was what really tied me into politics. But yeah, that was 2022, and yeah, I think I could have been a great sheriff for Jefferson County.
Well, I'm disappointed in our sheriff right now. Not the fact that his work's bad or nothing like that, but I've reached out 900 times to try to get him to show up to the event that I had tonight.
Yeah.
I think he's probably a great dude, but I think this is good for PR. The event I had for you tonight, that's my gift, by the way.
Thank you.
Since
Appreciate
it's illegal, what about the questions? We had some questions.
I had some good questions, man.
I was blown away. I didn't know. I was ready for WWE to break out because I had a bunch of people that were running against each other supposed to be here
really?
tonight. Yeah, and they didn't show up. Some of them did, some of them didn't, but the ones that were actually the competitors of the guys that were here didn't show up that were supposed to, and I was like, oh my goodness, we might not have put a boxing ring out there.
There you go, just let them go out.
And we'll let Jared be the referee. He can break them up, but they the questions were good, the people were good, everybody was like, I'm mouthy, I might say something. I said, well, if you see me crawl under a table, you need to back out. I said, but this man's a Navy SEAL. He probably got, his skin's probably a little bit thick, so he can take it. But if you start embarrassing me by something stupid, You'll see me
I
crawl under
think your
the table.
people asked. I think your folks who were out there, I mean, there's probably 50 people out
We
there.
had a good
Yeah,
crowd.
so I think they asked some really good questions that I appreciate. Hey, what do you feel about term limits? We need term
I
limits.
like term limits.
We gotta have
even if
term
you're
limits.
in there doing a great job, I don't think you need to be there
No.
when you're 80. No,
we need
offense,
term
but-
limits. Yeah, we need term limits. I think somebody asked about voter ID. We need to pass the SAVE Act. We already use voter ID in Alabama, but it needs to be across the nation because if you don't want voter ID because an ID is so easy to get, you probably want fraudulent voting, and we don't need that. We don't want that.
No.
We don't need all
You're
of
clearly
these.
for it if you're wanting to be.
So your folks asked some good questions. They asked about getting money to support your community, and that's huge. Hey, it's what's going to be.
Well, that's what I know. A lot of people were asking me, "What's a U.S. senator do?" And I said, "Well, let's just let him tell us what he can do."
Well, so
one
one of the things is making sure that you bring things back to Alabama first, our infrastructure, our state. But then the other thing, a U.S. senator can earmark for a specific community. Now, I don't believe that, and I could be wrong on this, but I don't believe Senator Britt, I think she sits on Appropriations Committee, she couldn't necessarily do that because she's getting appropriations for the whole state. I could be wrong on that, but as a senator that doesn't sit on the Appropriations Committee, you could earmark things for certain communities if the community shows the need for whatever infrastructure, redevelopment or revitalization that's needed. And I think those things are very important to know, one, is the people, but two, to elect a representative who's going to be willing to work with you and do stuff for your community. And I think for far too long, these representatives we've got, they don't actually represent the people. They just go there and make a deal with the bureaucracy. Yeah, they stand on the shoulders of giants and they claim that they're flying. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, and I truly believe what you said tonight about you've already signed the dotted line, you've fought in wars, you've broke your back for this country and your neck, literally. I have no doubt in my mind that if we was to just have some crazy war, that you would be like, I might be a U.S. senator, but I'm going to go fight.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And that's, to me, that speaks volumes. It's almost like David, I kind of picture you as David when he,
Well, thank you. That makes me feel better.
Well, the David before he became king, he was not the small part, but the
when he's
faith
in his 30s,
that you have,
absolutely,
and the fact that I've got God on my side. I don't need the shield. I don't need the sword. This is what He told me to do.
Yep.
And this is what I'm going to use, and this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to put my faith and my trust in Him.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what you're.
Well, thank you.
From what I'm hearing you say, that's how I feel, and that means a lot to me. And my dad, I mean, he votes, he gets into things, and he's like, "Why are you doing this?" And the podcast led me to some of this stuff. It did, but then I've got a daughter, I've got a young son, and the world's just getting more and more sickening. And I'm like, it's so close to home. Like I said, I wouldn't let her go to the gas station by herself. Even if she was a teenager, and I can hear her park the car, from my house. But he said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "Dad, this man's he's different." And I'm skipping a little bit, but I'll tell you why I know you're different. And you told Sean, I think, you came back from wars. You fought. You had a broke back. You broke neck. You felt pain, loss. You've lost brothers. I've heard you mention that. As far as I know, you didn't pick up the bottle when you come home.
No.
You didn't do drugs.
No.
You wasn't. I think you said that you felt no PTSD.
No.
And when he said how, you said God.
Yeah, it's my relationship with Christ. I mean, Christ gives you the peace which surpasses all understanding. There's some guys that go through things, and I'm not saying that they're bad or worse off because they go through these things, but I just never did. And the only thing I can attribute it to is my real one-on-one relationship with a person of Jesus Christ, who's a friend that sticks closer than a brother and who's suffered far more than I ever could imagine suffering, because he died for the sins of the world. He's a man who is acquainted regularly with grief, right? The man of constant sorrows, as Isaiah outlines. Jesus is somebody who knows exactly where everybody has been. He knows exactly where you've been, And there's nothing that you experience that he didn't experience times 10.
Right.
And he can give you that peace if you have faith in him.
And
so that's
a lot of people are finally realizing that.
Yeah.
Navy SEALs, so to speak,
Yeah.
because I've heard a lot they're doing some treatments and it's helping. They're like, like Sean, he don't drink anymore. I think he's been 5-6 years sober.
I will say that's one of the main cool things about the
Ibogaine.
Yeah, Ibogaine treatments and all that is it breaks addiction more easily. It's a natural way to break addiction as opposed to SSRIs that they're pumping down throats.
Dude, I've been blown away. Like I'm not even really. I'm not addicted to anything. I don't think except talking maybe. But I wanted to go try it just to see what it would do for me. Like how I would feel. But a lot of people are turning to Jesus, and I don't know if they're being led differently than I was. It's not for me to judge that. I don't think. Maybe it is. Maybe it ain't. But I like that that's what they're doing and that's what they're attempting to do. But how many Navy SEALs, and you've been with them, you've served with them, you slept with. I mean, you were one. So how many kept their faith the way you did?
There weren't many in the teams who would claim to be a Christian that I would say kept their faith.
Right.
And I mean I failed.
Well, you're a human, and that's
failed.
what I told him. I said I wasn't with him. I don't know what he's done, but I feel like
I never did. I mean I never did anything or got in any major trouble or did anything crazy or anything. There was never any of that. But I still failed tremendously. But there's a lot of guys who didn't hold to their faith. They would claim it, but they didn't live it. You wouldn't know them. You couldn't see their fruits. But there were some who did. There was a handful who did. But now it's changed a little bit. There's, 3 I'm on this message thread right here with a bunch of SEALs. There's 390 operators in an operator Christian fellowship, SEAL operators.
That wasn't even probably there.
A lot of those,
was in the team.
No, it wasn't. A lot of those guys are active. Of course, when I was in the teams, it was even before. I mean, I got my first iPhone close to the end of my my time in, and it was most of the time it was flip phone and stuff. I think they had remember the BlackBerry?
The BlackBerry was my favorite.
Yeah, the BlackBerry was out, and we had those as work phones. But anyway, they called them crackberries.
Well, mine drowned in the duck swamp.
Yeah,
that's what happened to mine. So, but I thought, and then I'll continue where I was going. Dad was like, why this guy? Why? I said, well, a man that can go through buds, hell week, get shot at, kill people, come back home, be sane, have a successful marriage, 3 kids, tells me he's different. He has what he's claiming he has. And if he can do that, to me, it would be harder to be a tip of the spear Navy SEAL guy on a day-to-day basis than a politician. And I've never been either one of them, but just being around the negative, is it negative energy maybe?
I mean, sometimes it is.
Maybe not negative, but just sinful. How about the sinful energy?
Yes, there you go. That'd be good. Yeah, very
and,
sinful.
And like I said, and he's like, why? I said, this guy is going to preach Jesus, I believe, in Washington.
I definitely do that. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that matters.
And that's what I said. That's why he's going to get my vote. Not as excited as I am about a Navy SEAL coming here and running for office. It's because I've seen him. I've heard him tell other people Jesus is the reason for everything that he's done, everything that he's accomplished, and all the pain that he's not had to face.
Yeah.
I mean, you felt pain, I know.
Yeah.
But as far as, like I said, the drinking, the drugs, the PTSD, suicidal thoughts, I mean, obviously none of that's there if you don't, I don't think.
No, none of it's there. None of it.
And
it really is. And it surprises people because they just don't believe it. It's like, I really believe it's Jesus inside of me. And it's for the people that are listening. If you give yourself to Christ, confess with your mouth and believe in your heart and you will be saved. But if you give yourself over to Jesus Christ as Lord, he's called Lord Many more times in Scripture, hundreds of times in Scriptures, he's called Lord as opposed to Savior. He is our Savior, but he's called Savior far fewer times. If you give your life over to him and not the desires of the flesh, he says, Jesus himself says, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. There's still a yoke, there's still a burden, but his yoke and his burden is far easier than the burden and the yoke of sin and death. And I think that is the thing that sets it apart. And I truly believe that.
And I believe it because I can see it in you. I see it in your family. I mean, y'all have that the fruit, you know. I mean, if this tree don't produce fruit, you know, I'm gonna let you dig around it one more time. But if I come back next year and cut it down, that's right. Honestly, I should have been cut down. No telling how many times.
Well, and he gives so much grace and so much mercy, to all of us. And he's put each man in his time so that he might reach out and find God. And reaching out and taking hold of what God has given us is not a work. Believing and having faith in God is not a work, lest any man should boast. That's what he tells us in the Scriptures, that when we have faith in what he did, when we turn to him, we are not doing a work. We are giving ourselves over to the holy hand of God, ultimately in the person of Jesus Christ. When we don't give ourselves over to him and we give ourselves to the world and the desires of the flesh, we're giving ourselves over to sin. Genesis 4:6, God is talking to Cain, almost like a grandfather, right? So God created Adam and Eve, and then Cain was one of their sons. So you have Cain and Abel. We know the story. Cain kills Abel. But before Cain killed Abel, God is talking to Cain. He says, Cain, why are you down? Don't you know if you do what is right, it'll be well with you? But if you don't, sin is lying in wait at your door, and its desire is for you, but you should rule over it. And that's an unbelievably important thing for us to see. Sin is waiting for us in the flesh. We're born into it. And if we turn to sin, it'll take us, it'll own us, and its yoke is heavy. Its burden is not light, because its burden is death. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through Christ Jesus. And what's Jesus say? My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. There's still a yoke and a burden, but in him it is so much easier. Why? Because he has conquered all things. He said, don't fear the world, I've conquered the world.
My preacher, Jason, that was here, he preached about darkness Sunday. I usually don't listen because he usually preaches to me, so I just try to
that's the way it is when God talks.
But he said, I think the average depth, he said, of the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, I don't want nobody to slap me around, but was like 7,000 feet deep, give or take.
Oh, golly, man. I didn't know it was that deep.
I didn't think so either. He said, I started researching it. But anyways, he said around, I told y'all I was listening, but now I'm second guessing, but maybe 25 to 3,000 foot deep is darkness. It's like the SUN can only penetrate so much.
Yeah, that's
darkness.
right, yeah.
But he said, the SON, there is no dark place, that he can't come down and shine his light on you.
Yeah,
you can't get low enough. Mm-hmm. You can't feel bad enough. And I'm glad that you're out there spreading it, showing it, living it. Like I feel like you preached a lot on, or I don't know if you want me to say preach, but you was, I don't know if Sean was comfortable or uncomfortable a lot during the show, because I knew right then he was admitting to becoming new to his Bible and this and that, and you was over his head a lot. I know a pretty good bit about the Bible. I was raised in it too, but I felt like sometimes he'd be like, "Well, what about? Can you explain that a little different?" And a lot of it I was understanding clearly, but I think
that's good. So the thing is, Sean is genuine with his questions.
Right.
It wasn't like. That's the benefit behind, some people that seek or desire the truth, is that they'll be genuine with their questions.
Yeah, because I think it helped him. It helped him a lot with his new.
And he's got some good guys on his team that are really trying to, that are believers and that are also leading him through some stuff. But he truly desires the truth, which makes all the difference in the world.
I like the truth too. That's for sure. All right. Well, what caused you to run for senator instead of something like the governor or anything else? You went from sheriff straight to senator.
Yeah, so I mean, ran for sheriff and said, hey, I'm not going to run for anything again. I mean, it's just
it was God.
The Lord opened the doors for us to do it, and when I say open the doors, green lights are not always God. God gave the Israelites a green light to have a king, but He said they desire a king because of their own wickedness and evilness. So that was the heart. They have chosen something over me. That's what God told Samuel, right? And don't worry, it's not about you, Samuel. They've chosen something instead of me. And so that is the thing that I was most concerned about. God, is this, there's an open door, there's a green light. What do I need to do? And I can't explain it other than He opened the doors, and where we're sitting at now, the success we've had, I don't think we're gonna lose this. I mean, I think we're gonna win it. Like, if we keep cruising the way we're cruising, we're gonna win.
Well, I hope so. And that's I said. I think you got 50. I don't know, we're 40 or 50 votes tonight. My mom, I'm gonna make sure she don't really get out a whole lot and do stuff like that. But I'll pencil in her for sure, or whatever.
But as far as it goes, where we're at now, it's impossible if you're not in the system. If you're not a career politician, you're not already in the system as somebody that is there. Like, we have a vote and it's important, but a lot of times those things are already decided for us by the system and the powers that be. To see where God has brought us from the time that me and my wife announced, from dead on zero with nothing to where we're at right now, and how successful we've been in a large race across the state for a U.S. Senate position, it ain't because of me.
Yeah,
it is 100% because of God. And we got a great team of people that work.
I'll make sure I like and try to share like every post that you make.
Well, thank you.
And every now and then I'll just click to see the difference in your followers, and that number has just really leaped up. The past month, I guess it is drastically changed.
And that's social media side, and the stickiness of the story is good. Navy SEAL, family man, law enforcement, all of that. Everybody doesn't like the Christian thing. I've learned. A lot of people.
Well, that's
and I don't know if it's conviction. Some people would say they're Christians and they don't like it. But what I will tell you is that the reason we've had the success we've had, we do have a team that's working hard. I am working hard. My wife and my family's working hard. We're sitting here late tonight doing this.
Yeah,
pick up the family a little bit. So everybody's working hard.
I feel terrible. I can see
you're
so
good,
tired.
You're
I'm trying.
But the family is working hard. But it's all by the hand of God.
Yeah.
God has granted us the success we've had that we should not have had.
I've already sat here and said, Jared's got to call me when he gets home, so I'll know he made it safe.
Yeah, no. I'll be good. Yeah.
But I got one more random question.
All right.
I don't have a Patreon account or nothing like that, but I did send my group that said they were coming. I said, hey, is there a question that you want me to ask?
All right.
And one guy said, yeah, it's not really about U.S. Senate or whatever. Maybe it is. But he said, what does he think about cloud seeding, and can we make cloud seeding go away?
I have no idea. I know nothing about cloud seeding. But I would say if there is such a thing as cloud seeding, right? And I do know that you've got.
I think they said it started in like World War
II. World War II. We've got HARP that fires, lasers and stuff into the ionosphere and the atmosphere, and they do all kinds of craziness with it. But in World War II, where a lot of this started, they would use artillery, and they would shoot it up in the sky and blow it up to move clouds and get them out of the way so either one, or they would drop them from airplanes, I think, and they would airburst, and they would clear clouds so they could see to bomb the cities below. And they would also do that for communications, I've read as well.
I didn't know that part.
The communications aspect, because cloud cover would block a lot of that. Now, this is just stuff I've read and heard, but they used ordnance to clear air, open up, or clear clouds and open up.
The Texas floods last year at the Bible camp.
Yeah.
Opened up a lot of people's eyes to conspiracies or whatever. And I'm a conspiracy theorist, I guess, a little bit. And I'm like, the creeks was dry, and 45 minutes later, it's sweeping kids out of cabins. I mean, that's crazy.
I will say this. You have those things that happen. You had the thing that happened in the Carolinas, right before the election,
absolutely.
and we can always, find a conspiracy or reason. But this is what Peter says in 2 Peter. It says, I believe it's 2 Peter. He says, we did not follow, or we do not need to follow carefully devised myths. That's what he says, and he's talking about a lot of these things that are conspiracies.
Right.
It doesn't mean that there's not some truth to them. There's always a little bit of truth to something. That's why people cling to it. But one thing to note is, and it says this in Ephesians chapter 6, right? We fight against spiritual powers, principalities, and high powers in dark places, right? Or dark powers in high places. Our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and darkness. So what I think a lot of times when I think of conspiracies, right, whatever you want to think, is it's less about people being able to plan something and make it work, because look how terrible our government is at freaking just getting you a DMV tag, right?
Oh
a tag
let's not talk about the tag office.
Get your star ID or something. Look at how terrible our government is and stuff. And I'm not saying that they don't have nefarious intent and that there's a lot of things that they do that's wrong and that's planned and to be wrong. But I think if there is a conspiracy to it, the conspiracy is the spiritual, is the demonic, is the battle of good versus evil that Scripture talks about. And I believe that as a Christian. A lot of people might not believe what I believe, and hey, that's fine. Yes. But I don't believe that we are, or there is entities out there that are that capable as humans to be able to do some of the stuff that we give them credit for doing. But what I do believe is that Satan is the ultimate deceiver, the ultimate liar, and I believe that there's demonic powers, and they use humans. They use a conduit of mankind to do unbelievably
horrible
evil things.
Well, okay, 2 quick questions. I lied. Do you think we're as divided as a country as I've ever seen?
Yeah. I mean,
is there anything that can help us get closer other than God? And I know that's the ultimate answer.
God is the ultimate answer. But I think, when you look at it, when you say we're as divided as a country, one of the things people say is I think it's 82% of the people. Now, this is a national percentage. Right. 82%, I think, is what I heard the other day. Somebody on the team was telling it to me, are for voter ID. Democrats and Republicans, right? Now we got the SAVE Act going through.
We've got a little bit of it.
So everybody's kind of is on board with that. The vast majority of the public are against this, illegal immigration, in particular the criminal illegal immigrants that we've seen come across in the Lake and Riley Act that was passed this summer for that young lady that was running, and she was killed by that criminal illegal alien who had already been in trouble for murder and assault in the country that he came from. So I say all that to say people are on board with a lot of those same things. The vast majority of people are not for DEI policies, or not for men and women's sports. We got daughters, so we don't want that.
Need that.
And so I think that a lot of the times when we see the division, it's at the political level, which is why I'm running.
Here's what I want to ask you this too. When you win, we're just gonna be positive.
There you go.
This is what I see on both sides, from President Trump to Nancy Pelosi to former Biden. It seems like they can't make a comment on TV without throwing a jab at the other side.
Disparaging the other side. That's right.
Can we just leave that alone?
Well, going back to the spiritual warfare, Satan is a great accuser. He's the great accuser. And so when you see those accusations being leveled, you have to look at it with discernment and say, are those just accusations that's spinning up the cockroach in the salad sort of thing, or is there truth there? Because if there's truth
there's
there,
probably
it needs to be presented.
A lot of truth, but it needs to somebody needs to be, we would like to see.
When you see those jabs, it creates instability and chaos, and when you have instability and chaos, it impacts the bottom line for people like us. It impacts affordability. It impacts our everyday life, because it makes things uncertain, and when things are uncertain, a lot of times they become unaffordable for just regular families.
It's gotten crazy. Well, I'm going to try to end it. And this was episode 007.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
I do 00. I don't know why I started that out, but it happened to work out great with a Navy SEAL being our Alabama James Bond over here.
There you go.
But last question, and what do you think about my get-up? I mean, I custom ordered these bands.
Yeah, man, I love that, bro.
I got the white belt.
Yeah,
I went full patriotic.
Full red, white, and blue. Yeah, I love it.
I said, like, I've been planning for a long time, since I talked to you in Asheville, and I'm like, he's coming. I got to figure out what I'm gonna wear.
Man, you did good, man.
I got these customized. I seen it was a Death Groove guy, operator, SEAL Team 6 operator on Sean's show. He had some vans.
Probably DJ Shipley.
It wasn't DJ.
Wasn't DJ?
It was oh man, wasn't Biss. Anyways, Pete maybe.
I don't know.
Anyway, his son was on a movie with Ryan Reynolds.
Okay.
This guy, I can't remember his name, but anyway, I saw his. I couldn't figure out exactly.
I want to get a set like
I
that.
was like, can somebody tell me what he's wearing? And then somebody's like, those are some Vans. Next thing I know, I'm over there customizing
making some Vans. There you go.
I got them for the party, which I meant to clean them. Stepped in a mud hole right outside a while ago.
Yeah.
Cried
oh man, they look good, bro.
But all my friends, they make fun of them. I'm like, how you make fun of red, white, and blue and camouflage? I mean,
there you go. That's right.
What's wrong with it? Well, they're Vans. Those are skater shoes.
Yeah,
I'm about to kickflip off the roof.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
But anyways, well, I've enjoyed it. Gavin, he's our new producer. We'll give him a shout out. Shout out to, please, if you're from Alabama and you're gonna listen to this, Jared Hudson is by far, and I don't know Barry Moore. I know he got endorsed by Trump, but I think you need to listen to Jared's stories, his reasons, his beliefs. Steve Marshall's our Attorney General. He's from 20 minutes down the road here. Got nothing negative to personally say about Steve. I've been in church with him, and years ago I was a kid, but my vote, my family votes, I think we're all swinging to Jared Hudson, and I think it's best for everybody. I think we all got a better future. I'll be able to sleep a little better at night. I'm going to try to get an hour and 40 tonight. I hope you do too.
Yeah, no, I'll do the same thing.
But I don't know if you have anything else you want to say, but we're about to.
Now check out our nonprofit covenantrescue.org. Check us out for the Senate run, HudsonForAlabama.com. Like you said, I've never had the privilege of meeting the president. And we got congressmen and attorney general in this. They've been in politics their whole life. I think it's time to get career politicians out.
Get them out.
The endorsement that I seek and the poll that matters. Because even though we're polling well, I tell everybody the poll that matters is May 19th.
Right.
We need to make sure that people vote Jared Hudson on May 19th. We need to make sure that if you like everything that you see, like, share, and follow all of our social medias and spread it across the state of Alabama, because I'm running for you, the people. That's the endorsement that I seek. Y'all are the people that I will be elected to represent as an envoy from the state of Alabama to Washington. And people say, well, how do we know you're going to do it? All I can tell you is that I'm bound by the blood of my Savior. He bids me to tell the truth. I have to tell the truth because I'm bound by his blood. I'm bound by the blood of men far greater than me that I deployed with, who didn't come home to their wife and kids, who died on a battlefield that I was on at the same time with them, right, on the same deployments. Men far greater than me that gave their lives for this country. I'm bound by their blood, and just as they served you with their life by giving their life for this great nation, I want to serve you, in particular the people of Alabama, as a senator from Alabama, and give my life to stand in the gap for the folks of Alabama. And I ain't a slick-tongued politician telling you I can be a warrior for you. I really believe I'm a real fighter, a real warrior, somebody who's fought for this nation, shot folks for this nation, stood beside great men who gave their lives for this nation. I can take your issues to Washington and not bring the issues of Washington back to the people of Alabama. That's what I really stand on. And the final piece of it is, if you forget all of this, don't let it deter you from who you can become in the person of Jesus Christ. Ask God to reveal himself to you. It will be in the person of Christ.
Absolutely. And just to top it off to all the country folks that's around here, I've met the man twice. He's been wearing boots both times. I mean, if that doesn't persuade your vote,
Yeah. And
he
here's
ain't
a-
wearing Vans like I
Yeah.
am. He's wearing some good old leather boots. So I believe he's got his hands dirty before here in Alabama as well as on the
Oh, yeah.
battlefield. So he's hard charging. He's going to be at the tip of the spear for Alabama.
That's right.
And we
That's
need
right.
we need to keep him there. Be behind him. I believe if he sees the support, it's gonna make him more hungry to make Alabama as good as it can
That's
be.
right.
Vote for Jared. I'm gonna end it on this. I stole this from my high school ag teacher. He told me I could have it, and I use it on my podcast now. But y'all be safe, be careful, behave. Don't do anything illegal, immoral, unethical, or just plain stupid. Y'all have a good night. Thanks.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Jared. Man, I had a great